Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, here to talk about the brand new banner that is coming to Global this week. A banner that I'm sure a lot of you are fairly tapped out on or pretty unexcited about. But I do want to talk about these units because I think that they are worth talking about. Because some of these units are particularly really good and actually really great investments. And one of them is particularly a character that I really want to recommend. But I have some soft recommendations too. I think that it is worth noting that I can see that this is going to be a pretty difficult little while for Global. I mean, you guys just got through Halloween, which was limited time units, and a surprise to be sure. Final Fantasy IV is probably in the very near future for you guys. That is a 3-week event with 4 limited things to pull. Sorry, 3 characters, 1 card was what I was trying to get at. And last but not least, I do think that Christmas will be coming up, and I do think that there could be some surprises for Global with Christmas. So should be very, very cautious about where you are spending, but the limited time discussion is a thing that I've recorded already for a different video, so tonight I just want to talk about these new characters. So Marielle, Skahal, Howlett, and Shell. And I'm going to go through each of these characters in order and talk about each of them, what I think their value is and what I think their problems are, and just kind of go from there. So first of all, talking with Marielle, a character that I ended up getting, and as you can see, I've awakened her to about 3 stars, but I have not built her, partially because, Rainbow Rocks and resources are a little thin, and you got to be careful where you're spending, especially with the JP Side Coast anniversary. But jobs are Spellblade, Arithmetician, and Thief. I think actually a pretty strong combination. I know that there have been some people on Global who have made this character pretty viable in terms of damage. I do think Arithmetician is always just a really good thing. And if you consider the fact that, basically her kit ends up being a lot of magic-based damage, you can pair that well with Sakura, you can pair that well with some of the new light master abilities that are in the future on the JP side. But if this is a character you particularly like her design, or you like her style, or you like her in the side story stuff, this isn't a bad, a lower tier character to end up going with. I think that she can be built pretty interesting. To look at her TMR, 15% chance to decrease spirit by 25 for 3 turns. Interesting. Looking at her skills, again, Spellblade will give her a fair amount. She has some dark healer in her kit, so she can counter some dark units pretty nicely. She can decrease bravery to a target, which is an interesting little effect. And Arithmetician just kind of has the full a lot of AoE spells in her kit. And that is one of the benefits. I do really like Arithmetician as a farming unit, and potentially as just a great unit for striking targets where height is a problem. So I think that's really good, thing that's worth noting, and I think that she is a good unit. Do I think that she's necessarily worth it? Nah, if this isn't like a character that you're super, I just need to have this character, and this is a character I really like and I just want to build, this is a fine, down the line, maybe long-term project. I don't think she's worth ignoring because you can actually dish out some pretty good damage. Might be a character I eventually build, but again, resources are finite, so moving on. Alright. Next up, Skahal, or Skull, is still the way I read it on the JP side. But regardless, talking about Skull is a very problematic unit to recommend. First of all, I want to go on record as saying I actually like the design of this unit. I think that the visual style that is in his unit, just like visually, he looks pretty cool. I like his limit burst. I even kind of like him in the side stories, even though it seems like he's just constantly getting dumped on. I think that I do like this unit. I like the thunder element and everything, but even his TMR is kind of interesting. Consume a little bit of HP, increase magic by 80% for 3 turns for an ally. is potentially just a really strong buff that can power up a specific mage, meaning that he does have a little support. Looking at his kit, he has Staff Mage, Black Mage, and Time Mage. Not necessarily a bad thing, but when it comes down to this character, there is the elephant in the room that we need to talk about, which is Salir / Saria / whatever name I actually have in my brain that's just associated with that lower tier character. Fact is a lot of people do have this character already built. She's lower rarity, which means she can be gotten easier. She is still particularly damn strong. Has the white mage, the black mage, and ninja as well, which ups her speed. And that's one of the things she actually kind of has an advantage over Skull. Her kit is just really good value for the price she's paying. She may be a more expensive MR, but I do think that the value is there. And that's kind of the problem I've had with always recommending Skull, is that Salir came first, and Salir does good enough that you don't necessarily need to spend. Taking a look at his damage resistance as well, of course, keep in mind that on the global side, some things could be changed, so, take this with a grain of salt, but minus 5% to slash, pierce, 15% to strike, 10% to shooting, and he's strong against magic, 20%. This character's stats just don't feel very UR. He's not a bad unit. There's good stuff in his limit burst. There are strong attacks in his kit. I just feel overall that he kind of underperforms. But besides that, there's one other thing that really doesn't bode well for this character, and that's the fact that he was kind of built for Tower number 2. Or Tower number 2 was built for him, I should say. Floor 28 and Floor 30 are very weak to thunder magic and were essentially built to reward people who have this character or, Salir. But either way, since the tower has pretty much gone by, this is a hard unit to recommend. Again, if you like him and you build him up full, I'm sure you won't be disappointed in him, but I have to say that personally, I just don't think that really at this point there's any point you're necessarily getting him, other than the fact that you like him and he's kind of cool. All right, continuing on, let's go through the next MR, which is Shell. And Shell is a unit that I actually have kind of a soft spot for. I think that, first of all, I absolutely love Howlett's group because his group has this wonderful primary color scheme where, yellow and green on Shell, more reddish colors on Howlet, and last but not least, Titus, the character who is not yet in the game and not yet on banners, but will be soon, is kind of that blue color. So I really like the primary colors of light / primary colors just being a thematic thing between this group. Now, to be totally honest, I'm actually kind of disappointed that I've never really gotten Shell into being just super built. As you can see, I kind of got her halfway, and I just have had other projects to do. But anyway, Green Mage, Time Mage, and Thief actually a pretty solid little kit. Going to be speedy. I mean, really, this is a support unit, and a support unit that has a couple of things that I really like. First of all, she is weak 10% to slash, pierce, and strike, and shooting, and only it's strong against magic. But this isn't a character that you really want to be in the front lines. You want her a little bit back. The things that I've always liked about her kit is the fact that she does have some debuff skills against the enemy. She has a way of increasing agility in her Green Mage kit. She also has Dispel, Dispel I feel like should be just really good and should be better. With more enemies and raid bosses that potentially end up buffing themselves, it's kind of an interesting idea to have just a permanent Dispeller on your team. She also potentially works well with a ice group, so if you have a bunch of ice units, she kind of fits in there. Would be nice if there were some of the new ice master abilities that we've been seeing on the JP side, where they can boost HP and ice attack, kind of giving this girl a little bit more. But also her Thief has some things to decrease accuracy, steal from enemy, increase evasion rate for herself, or inflict charm. So she has a lot. I think she has a lot of nice abilities, but basically this unit is a support unit. But I'd be honest and I just really I like the design of her. I like her in the side story. I like all of that. So I'd really just kind of love it if some globalers just built and enjoyed her, because I think there is some good, valuable things here. Also, her time mage of, everybody loves haste, everybody loves quicken, so maybe that's what you want. A unit that I really want to build, I soft recommend this unit much in the same way as the first unit, Mia, who I talked about at the beginning. This unit, again, not probably worth throwing a ton of your resources at, but if you got her and you got some spare resources, maybe. All right. And the last unit that I want to talk about is Howlett, a character that when at first I actually got this unit, I was like, cool. But after actually getting to try him, Roon Knight is just such a cool job, and his kit does feel really complete, and he's one of currently still my favorite characters to use in just content, whether it's PvP, PvE, or just fighting enemies in game. I think this unit really performs super well. But yeah, looking at him in general, talking about the Trust Mastery, some defense, some spirit, some HP, and an ability that makes you immune to physical damage for 1 turn, which is kind of an really interesting ability that I have not used a ton on JP, so obviously that means it's bad. But jokes aside, anyway, Roon Knight, Red Mage, and White Mage means that he has really good AP to start. Even then, he just has some really cool power-up abilities, such as the Drain that boosts his magic. He has Hazard Slash, which deals a ton of damage. Overall, this unit I really, really like. I have gotten a ton of use out of this. And that's kind of why it hurts me so much to say that I just don't recommend, overall, if you're on the fence about this banner, series of banners, whatever it ends up being on the global side, I do recommend that you don't pull on this at all, because I think there are far too many limited time units coming up in the future, such as Sakura, units such as Kane, Rosa, less so Cecil, and potentially Christmas units as well. I think that currently it's just a little too expensive in the year, and if you get this unit later, fine, kind of thing. Like, you want to just buy shards and then potentially get them off of UC later or something like that, that's another option. Keep in mind at this point that I don't remember having seen a UOC recently for the JP side, so mind that. But overall, Howlett is a character that has performed very, very well for me. He has done well in a lot of different content. I've used him in a lot of stuff. I think that his kit is really complete, with either being a pretty darn good healer and damage dealer, or, potentially a little bit of status effects with Red Mage, or some in between with Red Mage in terms of damage and whatnot with Magic Jammer and all that. But overall, I like this unit's kit. I think that he's really good, and it kind of hurts that I can't recommend him more, just because I think that this point there's going to be a lot of limiteds in the future, and you have to be really careful where you are spending and what you are spending on. I do like and recommend Howlett. It's just a shame that he's coming out at such a busy point in the year. So, long story short about all of these units, just to bring it all back around again, that's the wrong thing. I still have that on here. Overall, I think that there are quite a bit of strong units here that you could definitely end up enjoying. Marielle is, I think, pretty kind of interesting as a budget Ildira or budget Leela. Essentially, just having a extra farmer, and she can dish out pretty good damage. Gal is a unit that at this point I think has passed his point of usefulness. Currently, especially if you have Salir built already, I don't think that there's a reason to get him. However, there is power there is some good stuff, so it really kind of depends if he's just a unit you like, in which case, my opinion doesn't really matter. Howlett is a character that I think is really great. I think he's super powerful. I think that Roon Knight plus White Mage or Roon Knight plus Red Mage is just very, very strong. Recommend this unit, but with a caveat of be careful where you are spending. If you even do one pull and just get them, that's just super cool. And last but not least, Shell, I think, is a unit that may be the cheapest cost on here, but is definitely a unit that I think is really great. And the Dispel thing is just kind of cool. I just like having a dedicated Dispeller in terms of utility. A nice little support unit, and I hope that more people will like her as well. But anyway, that's about all I need to talk about in this video. So let me know, are you interested in any of these characters, or will you try even a little bit, or are you just going to keep saving for all the stuff that's in the future? I have seen some of your guys' comments where you are definitely on the saving spree, so best of luck to all of you. Take care. See you next time. And if anyone builds Howlet, Shell, or Marielle, cool. And if you beat Skull, all the power to you. Take care. See you next time.